All right, so I'll try to keep an eye. We've got a new dog here, so he's adjusting to things, and my wife's not around to keep an eye on him. So if I'm turning around to just peep real quick, I'm just making sure he's not getting into mischief, really. Uh,
That's
okay.
fine. I've got my young boy upstairs. He's not used to me doing interviews because he comes on a weekend. So if he bangs, I do apologise.
That's all good. So
So
yeah,
Same
we
thing
can
here. I don't have a dog, but I got my cat in here, and so he might be scratching at the door a little bit. So I'll try and keep that at a minimum.
right, excellent. We were always out, so we don't have any pets because it just won't be fair on them. Because we're just very rarely in, apart from when I do interviews. So.
Right.
Right.
Give
So
me
typical, is he the main singer then, Tom? He's the lead vocalist. Well, you all do it, but
Yeah,
he,
yeah. So
Yeah.
Tom does a lot of the leads. I harmonize pretty much almost every word. So I'm singing, 80% of the record as well. And then Seabass will hop in and do additional stacks on stuff
hmm
as we go. Yeah, and we're working on Adrian won't be here today, but he's working on getting some stuff going as well because I think there's a powerful image to have every member singing at some point, It's very, I
Yeah.
don't know. It brings back the 70s prog bands and stuff like that where they were all just stacking so many harmonies. So,
excellent. Well, as soon as we've started the interview without Tom, because he's typical vocalist being fashionably late, uh, I'll introduce myself. I'm Dale from Dale's Rock Interviews and Dale's Gig Reviews and Metalliville Online Magazine. There's a lot to say there. And I'm joined by Howling Giant, which is Zach and Sebastian. And hopefully Tom will be joining us as we've just been
yes.
discussing.
I'm sure he
So,
will.
yeah, he will be here. He'll be trying to get on, going, why isn't this link working?
Yeah,
But
there's a coming theme of Tom versus technology that we always get to. He's like, "Hold on, I gotta figure it out," you know.
well, it's funny that you're called Howling Giant. Just over the hills from us, we've got a band called Wailing Banshee. So we've got Howling
Oh,
Giant and Wailing Banshee, and the singer she has cats, and this cat was crawling all over in that land while I was doing the interview. Says that you've got to incorporate it on the artwork somehow. You know, your cat.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that would be appropriate with Sebastian or
Right.
Zach or just sea bass. I like that.
yeah.
Yep. I get sea bass all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe we should do a cat for our next cover or album art.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, your cover art for your albums is absolutely fantastic. Who's responsible for that?
So that is actually Tom's mom, Sue Davies Paulzine, Susan M. Davies. Well, and here's Tom, and he could
And
probably
here's
tell
Tom.
us in a second. Just right on cue, huh?
Yeah.
There he
Uh,
is.
we were
Nice.
talking.
Me.
We were talking about Tom. We were talking about Tom's mum, and here he is appearing.
Yep.
Nice. Can you guys hear me okay? Is this thing on?
Yeah.
He,
You good?
so
Yep.
I can't
Awesome.
hear you, Tom.
Uh-oh. Shut it down. Sorry, guys. How we doing?
Well, I'm good, thank you. I've just introduced myself as I'm Dale, and we're talking about your mum doing the wonderful cover art of your albums.
Yeah, man, she's amazing. We're lucky to have her in the camp, and I mean, she's always stoked to do it, and it's great to be able to just talk through all the ideas and see where she kind of goes with it. So,
Yeah,
yeah, it's cool.
yeah. We were saying we've got to incorporate Sebastian's cats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you
That's
go.
right.
Yeah, we're going for an animal vibe next record.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a cat at the bottom, and obviously Zach's dog at the top. And
Yeah.
you know, if you've got
Yep.
any pets, you've got to throw them in one corner, and so
Of course. I'm in. Sign me up.
on. Excellent. So you talked a little bit about Adrian. He's been thrown in for this album. Is he a new member of the band? Is he going to be a constant member?
Yeah, he's been with us for just over a year now. It was this time last year that we went into the studio to do Crucible and Ruin, and Adrian was not originally going to be in the studio sessions and stuff. And just a few weeks before, it was like January last year, we are like, well, what if you did show up? and have some time with us and kind of just like we knew he'd be joining the band. We just didn't weren't sure the timeline pending our tours and stuff like that last year. So we got him involved and he threw down some awesome guitar and synthesizer textures on it. And that's always the fun part of the record when you're starting to add just the extra production and things tend to just like I don't know, they take form a little bit more. They become the record all in that spot. Because up to that point, Tom, Sebastian, and I had just been playing it in the room together live and
Mhm.
be like,
Yeah,
yeah, I think this is a song.
Yeah. And he's been honestly
excellent.
bringing a whole new energy to the live show as well because, adding a new guitar player, you can do kind of things that we couldn't do before as when we were just touring as a three piece. And yeah, he can add all these new textures and layers that really make it sound like we're, like the record. But yeah, man, he's been absolutely killing it. We love having him in the camp.
Excellent. Before he even played an instrument, though, do you make sure he can harmonize?
Yeah.
He's got to sink or swim. Sometimes it's like,
Yeah.
hey, you just got to throw him in the fire and see what he does.
Because for those that haven't listened to your music, it's very musical, just not just from the standpoint of you playing your instruments, but it's very musical with the vocals, and it's very melodic. I've read that it's stoner metal, doom metal. It's psychedelic metal, and to me, it's prog rock. I've grown up with
Yeah.
prog rock. It's prog
I
rock.
think that we come from like more stoner rock roots. Like if
Yeah,
you were to go back and listen to our first EP, that's kind of where we started from.
yeah,
But we've always had an interest in prog music, and we say psychedelic, and I think that you can take that so many different directions. But as it applies to like prog music, I think that's a better application for us in this band. We
yeah.
want to be able to stretch outside the classic stoner rock tropes, and we want to be able to make weird sounds and soundscapes and textures. We want to be able to play with, odd time here and there. But mostly, I think what's been important since the beginning for us is the strong melodic element.
Yeah.
That's something that I don't want to speak for everyone in the band, but I'm pretty sure we all have in common. We are drawn to music that has a strong melodic hook, and I think that ultimately, at least for me, is more powerful and has like a lasting presence for the listener. So,
Well, when it comes to your live performances, I've got to get this right. You, people call for an encore, and and usually you come on and you do one or two songs. I just call for Mazamoon. Is that how you
Oh
pronounce
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Masamune,
Yeah,
Masamune, yes,
Mazamoon.
sir.
So that's your encore song.
of
Yeah.
course, just a
Nice
cool 20
20
minutes extra.
minutes.
20
No
minutes.
problem.
20 minutes.
hmm hmm
Well,
Yeah,
if
that's
we
a
were to
fun
do that,
one.
we would have to get Sergeant Thunderhoof playing right after us. So,
Exactly. Yeah. So that's when I seen that album, I was like, I've got to give that a listen. And when I went on, there's two tracks, and I'm like, okay, this is definitely yeah, this is definitely right up my street. I'm going to put this on, and I absolutely love it. I think it's fantastic. Of
Thank
course,
you.
and
yeah, no, it's you and Sergeant Thunderhoof have been going for quite a while now.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think like as we like write new records and stuff, I'll often dig back through like old videos of riff ideas and stuff like that. And I came across the one the other day of like, Tom, we were in San Diego staying with Vince and Marianne, and you had the one of the first ideas for our side of that record.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
Actually, I
I
remember
mean,
that. Now that you
yeah,
bring that up, I remember that. Was that
yeah,
upstairs? Were we in
yeah. Yeah, so there's
Yeah, I remember
you're
that.
staying at a friend's house, and yeah, we were talking with Sergeant Thunderhoof about it. And the cool thing that we did with that record is there are some shared lyrical just ideas as well as some melodic things that we kind of traded back and forth. And Tom had this one like kind of passage that he wrote that I just sent them from the road, and it's just Tom in someone's bedroom playing this riff. But yeah, they took it. They ended up putting it on their side as well. Just a very cool creative process for a split record. We just wanted to do something a little different with that one and be as collaborative as we could with them, just to
Yeah,
make, rather than just a split, make a record, you know?
yeah. Oh, it's great. The record that we're on about, of course, is Turn to Stone Chapter 2. And you just said Masamune and Muramasa. And
Mm.
That's right.
Muramasa
Yes,
is
sir.
what Sergeant Thunderhoof has done. And well, he's like you say, you both like both bands have helped on each track.
Hmm.
It's great. I really enjoyed that one. But going back to your
Thank
early
you.
stuff, you got your Howling Giant EP, which came out in 2015, but you also re-released that, remastered in 2019. Is it because you got more popular with your second EP, so you thought you'd re-release your first?
I
That was
think
kind of
that
a,
for
oh,
us, it was that we wanted to have access to this on vinyl. We hadn't had a release up to this point of the original EP on vinyl, and that's a huge, portion of our fan base, I think, are collectors in that medium. So, in order to be able to do that, we had to get a vinyl master done, and at that point, I think we were just like, let's just do a remaster, kind of bring it up to date, reintroduce it to the catalog.
Yeah,
Um, and
and
not that you want to chase your past catalog, but we had a lot of new fans by that point, and I do think it's cool to revisit some of the foundational points of your songwriting and say, hey, this is where we came from. It's maybe not where we're at right now, but like Wailord is still a super important song to me, and I think it's super important for our songwriting process today.
yeah.
What were you going to say, Zach? I didn't mean to cut you off.
oh no, no, you're good. I was gonna say kind of like peek behind the curtain on the label side of things, on the business side. We were also in the process of recording and mixing our first full-length release, The Space Between Worlds. So Jad over at Magnetic Eye and Blues Funeral was just like, hey, just kind of testing the audience and trying to get an idea of how many units of like vinyl we would sell. So he was like, what if we remaster this? You can sell this out on the road, and that'll help me gauge how many copies of the next record to buy, pretty much. So it was like,
Yeah.
you know, able to get it out to the collectors, and on that business side, help the label make an assessment of how many units to order for future tours and stuff like that. So
Yeah, as you can
Yeah.
see, we don't like vinyl at all in this house.
yeah,
It's just like no, we don't like vinyl. Uh,
Outdated. No
yeah,
point.
Right.
No
yeah.
point.
no point. I've got actually going to Sebastian here down in my record collection, and could I find it? I went through album after album, I couldn't find it, and I can guarantee as soon as I've done this, it'll be there. I've got an Accept album down there.
Yes.
And of
Very
course,
nice. Which one?
your dad is the bassist in Accept, Peter.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He doesn't play with Accept anymore, but he still plays with Udo in various projects with him. But yeah, for you know, pretty much his whole career, the original bassist of Accept, man.
Yeah, like I say, I've got one of the albums down there. We're actually seeing Accept, but unfortunately not your dad. At Stone
Oh,
Dead
dang.
Festival. Yeah, Stone Dead Festival this year. So I'm really looking forward to that because I've never seen him live.
Yeah, it's still gonna be, you're still gonna have a great time, man.
Oh
It's
yeah.
still awesome.
Yeah, we've
Yeah,
got a buddy in town that ended up playing drums now for them. So I work
Hmm.
in a drum shop, and Chris came in all the time. So he's the drummer for Accept these days too. So that's always cool to see.
Yep.
Yeah.
oh wow.
Yeah.
Pass him my email so I can meet up with him at Stone Dead Festival.
Yeah.
I can do a quick interview with him.
Yeah.
So got to pimp myself out here.
No, you have
Yes,
to.
sir.
Yeah.
So who's the better bassist then, you or your dad?
Oh, my dad.
But if you want
Uh,
proof, you can listen to
undeniably.
our cover of Shoot to Thrill, where Seabass and Peter have a dueling bass solo. So you can listen and
Yeah.
you can tell us who you think is the better bass player.
All right,
That's right.
I would
Yeah. We
definitely be
did
looking for
do,
that then.
yeah, we did a Shoot to Thrill cover with my dad and Udo singing.
Yeah,
And so we had a combination of Udo singing and Tom singing together, which is really cool to hear the different styles. But yeah, and then me and my dad throw in a little bass solo face off in the middle of it. And I think it kind of caught some people by surprise, but for us, it was really cool because we are the biggest AC/DC fans in the world, me and him.
yeah,
Um, they're both for both of us, they're our favorite band. And so that was just like a real pleasure to do that. And then have Udo sing on that, man. It was awesome. So yeah, definitely go check it out.
I will do. Now you've told me about that, I'll be straight after this watching that. Because I think it's a great song anyway. Um, it's funny because I don't play any musical instruments, and if I sing, just make sure I sing at the end of the night on karaoke, just so I can clear the pub. So, I've got no sort of talent, but apparently when I play air guitar, I'm a left-handed bassist.
Ah,
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
that's
Yeah.
interesting.
So
I like
I was
that.
headbanging once, and this person come running up to me and goes, "Oh my God, you're a bassist." And I'm like, "No, I'm not." "Yeah, you are." "No, I'm really not." "You play the bass." And then they went into all the fundamentals of what I was doing, how I was holding my hands and strumming my fingers and doing this. And yeah, you're a
Really?
left-handed bassist. And I was like, okay, that's cool.
Wow,
There you
wow.
go. Now
The
you
things we
now
can
you
learn
know you
from
have it in
air
it.
guitar. Incredible.
Yeah. So an air guitar bassist. So I'm gonna have to do one of them. They do them competitions, don't they? The air guitar competitions.
oh yeah.
You, you know,
Yeah,
my
but
dad actually judged one of those for
did he?
like a year or two in Nashville. Yeah, they did it. Air. Yep. They
Oh
they gave
wow.
him a little cash and he judged one of those. I'm like, that's kind of ridiculous, but
Hey, if you want to
hey,
throw
it's
some
fun.
cash for me, I'd happily judge anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's fantastic. I'll definitely be looking out for that. But you
Yeah,
followed
man.
your Howling Giant EP with Black Hole Space Wizard Part One, and then you followed it up with obviously Part Two, and which was an album. So how come you didn't do like an EP, two EPs? You'd like to do an
Well,
EP than
those
an
are
album?
both EPs. Both part one and part two are individually. They're each an EP.
Okay,
Um,
fine.
Two
yep.
Did you
two's
put
a
it?
little longer. Two's like two hits about like just but around 30 minutes, which I think some people would classify as a
As
full
an album?
length.
Yeah,
Yeah. But in our minds, they were always just EPs. We just had some extra songs on two where like we're trying to tell this story.
yeah,
So yeah, in our minds, they're both EPs, but like I see, some people like some of our friends release amazing 30-minute records, and I'm just like, I
yeah,
don't know if we could ever do that. For it to be a full-length record for us, it has to be at least 40 minutes.
yeah.
Yeah, I almost
Hmm.
Yeah,
wonder if like is the time the marker or is the number of tracks the better marker? Because
Right.
like I could see a band like Torch, for example, one of my favorite bands. I think they have a few records now that come in around like 32 minutes, but
yeah,
they have enough songs where to me it feels complete. It's given you enough different ideas, and there's enough of a track list where I'm like, that's a full record. Something about Black Hole Space Wizard Part Two I think just always felt like it is a little longer, but it's kind of by the nature of the songs being longer, but the story still feels very like, I don't want to say bite sized, but it feels like an EP to me, I think.
Hmm.
Have you put them together as a gatefold album? Part one and
I
part
think
two.
someday we'd like to. I think that we have more in store for the Black Hole Space Wizard saga, so we might wait to see how that all shakes out
Yeah,
before we press it. We've been talking about part three forever, and I hate to keep teasing it. We do have ideas, but we keep writing records instead and getting busy with this, that, or the other. But we do aspire to get back to it and kind of, put a bow on it, as it were, and just kind of finish that up.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so
Because
when we do,
now
we'll
we're in that.
see. Sorry, go
Yeah,
on.
no, it's okay. People will see. I didn't mean to interrupt. It's terrible for an interviewee to
Oh, you're
interviewer
good.
to interrupt the
You're good.
interviewee.
You're good.
You're all good, man.
Hmm.
So we're into album territory now. Then we've got Turn to Stone Chapter Two. Did I miss Chapter One?
So the chapters, I believe, were not so much chapters like that we released, but the label Ripple had been releasing. So they had a chapter one, and I don't know when they stopped, but
They did at least 10 of those split records. Yeah.
each
Oh
chapter
wow.
featured a different pair of bands. So I think the idea was like a split record series.
Yeah.
And yeah, like Zach said, you think it was 10? Is that where they landed?
Somewhere
Something like
around
that?
there, they ended that one and started a new series eventually. I don't know what it is now, but like Ripple, like I know Heavy Psych Sounds does this, Ripple does this, obviously. A lot of the labels like to do the split records, label it as like a series. That way it's kind of separate from a band's full length discography or something when you're like looking it up in the record store or whatever else.
Yeah. Because then we go obviously with that's the one that you did with Sergeant Thunderhoof, and then we go to I can't actually read my writing here. Glass Few, go on.
Glass
Glass
Future.
Future, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Yeah, Glass Future. Why can I not read my writing? It's my writing.
You must be a
Glass,
doctor, you know.
yeah, it must be. Glass Future 2023, you released that, but then we got to your new album, or newish, it came out October, is that correct? Crucible of
Yeah.
Ruin. Um, and in that, you've got a couple of instrumentals, which I love instrumentals. Growing up listening to Iron Maiden, and they threw in instrumentals, and yeah, Metallica, they threw in instrumentals, and bands don't generally do that much now.
I
I
think it
think that
come
they're super important to
Mhm.
include, not necessarily an instrumental, but something to help purely with the flow of a record. And I also think it's important for the live show to have that sort of aspect as well. So, like, whether it's an instrumental track or occasionally I'll listen to another artist and they might include just an a cappella track, like just vocals. And
Yeah,
no matter what you do, I think just taking a second to break out of the arrangement and the form of a rock band is just a strong move to kind of help develop a record, give it some flavor and give it some flow. So whether or not we do an instrumental, I think we try to include something like that on each record. We've had like acoustic elements on some songs just to help kind of break things up. Zach's wife, Kim, performed some Barry sax on various tracks that we've had over the years. And just to add those kind of considerations, I think, are just,
yeah,
it's part of giving the whole album an identity and give the whole album an extra bit of flavor. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I love an instrumental track.
yeah.
Yeah, it was
Uh,
definitely something that we kind of discovered early of like the flow of a record. I remember listening to the first EP, just the self-titled with Tom. We were listening to the Masters, and it was just 20 minutes of loud. And it was awesome, but like you felt fatigued after it. So we started from that point on really considering the flow of a record and like, what do we need here? Do we need this soft break? Or do people just not need to hear vocals and we hit a sample for some spoken word stuff? Like we've done samples, we've recorded our own spoken word, like Camel Crusher on the first EP was just Tom and his radio broadcast voice doing that one. And it's just finding what flows, especially when you have a longer and longer record. Like our first full length, The Space Between Worlds was almost 50 minutes, and we always shoot for 40. But when you're getting 40 to 50 minutes of music, sometimes that ear break is really needed to just like make that next track hit so much more.
yeah, yeah. Um, my dad was massively into prog when I was growing up, so I listened to a lot of prog rock, and I understand, like you say, with the flow. So what sort of influences did you listen to?
Like us as a band or us individually in what
Either
capacity?
or.
I think we're all over the board. I don't want to speak for everybody, but I grew up listening to a lot of prog as well, but I also grew up learning like classical guitar, and I came from that sort of household. I was in like choir and band in high school, and I think that was also super important for the development of like kind of harmonies and understanding how like voices in a close range can fit together.
Yeah,
But as far as bands go, I mean, prog was a huge part of it. Like I loved Yes. I listened to Fragile until it was like worn out. But then, moving on to, I guess, more modern bands with like prog kind of elements, it was like Coheed and Cambria, I know is big for both me and Zach. Dream Theater for some of the shred stuff. But really, I think one of the most foundational bands is Rush. And I like to think if you're looking at like classic rock bands that influenced Howling Giant, to me, it's kind of like a combination of like Rush and maybe like some Black Sabbath elements in there.
yeah.
And if you could find a crossover of those two kind of sounds, like that's to me almost like a perfect where I would want to live musically.
Yeah, 'cause some of your music is quite heavy, and then with the vocals is quite melodic, and it's an
hmm
interesting contrast listening to you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I think that's a cool thing that we wanted to do from the beginning as well. We had so many friends that wrote great heavy music and had brutal vocals, and I was like, man, that's awesome. But how can we stand out? How can we be different? And
Yeah,
I think that's like make something high energy, lean into moments that feel heavy, But if there's this almost kind of like sweet or like clean melodic vocal on top with harmonies, that can kind of be just a different approach to an otherwise familiar and well-traveled music scene, you know?
Yeah. I mean, Kansas, great example of
Oh
all
yeah,
those
dude.
vocal harmonies. I think it was an early review. I forget if it was one of the later EPs or our first record, but somebody was like, "It's heavy metal Beach Boys." I was like, "I love that." Like,
That's nice.
let's keep stacking harmonies, you know?
Yeah, I was thinking Bee Gees, but
I like
I'll
it.
take that too.
Heavy metal
Yeah.
Bee Gees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
We
think the
yeah,
like we like
Ramones
to
kind of do a similar thing in a lot of ways. I mean, his voice was weird enough that maybe he didn't get the credit as the melodic kind of powerhouse that they really were. But if we're talking about especially like Beach Boys and these like pop music hooks, the Ramones were fantastic at it. They just brought this kind of dangerous punk rock edge to it, and his voice had this unique kind of like maybe not your average pop star voice, you know.
yeah.
But as far as the melodic considerations with high energy and kind of dangerous music like the Ramones, that's where it's at.
Ramones. I would add on to that also saying Iron Maiden. At least I know for sure. Me and Zach,
Yeah.
we have a huge Iron Maiden influence, and so we love throwing in those some like little rhythmic changes or sections that they tend to do, or some of those like real grand vocal moments. Yeah, always been a big influence on us for sure.
Yeah, I'm a huge Iron Maiden fan. I was lucky enough in 2024 to meet all three singers, including Paul Di'Anno, about a month
Oh
before he
wow,
died. So, and he signed
wow.
a lot of my material. But also talking about people who I met, I used to work at a railway centre, where a museum and a working depot, and Rick Wakeman had cancelled all his tours because he was poorly, but he's a train spotter.
Man.
So he kept that one date at our railway centre, and he turned up, and it was a working day, it was a Friday, and there was lots of rail depots on site. And he did a rehearsal in the morning, and then at dinner, he went round to all the rail depots and met everybody. And then we took him for a loco
Oh man.
drive, which he absolutely loved. So I'm stood on the loco with him while he's driving a diesel.
Man, that's
And
Wow.
awesome. That's
yeah, and then
cool.
in the
That's
afternoon, he
insane.
invited all the workers to come and watch him do a full dress rehearsal. And then in the
Oh, that's
evening,
cool.
he did his performance in the evening, and he spent an hour and a half meeting his fans and signing memorabilia. And this while he was in ill health at that time.
Wow,
Hopefully, hopefully he's well now. But it was absolutely magnificent, and his performance was just top notch.
Hmm.
man.
That's
Yeah,
incredible.
That's amazing.
I have got photos of me on his keys. That's my bragging rights.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, I've been there, I've met the man, Rick Wakeman, I've watched him perform. And my dad had lots of Yes albums and Pink Floyd and things like that. So it's just the sounds that I grew up with.
Yeah.
Yeah, my partner's a big Bee Gees fan and Beach Boys as well. So she'd very much like your music.
Oh yeah,
Going
those
on,
records were always
There
on
you go.
when I was
yeah,
growing up for sure. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. So going on to your tour in March and April, you got a tour of the US, and then lucky Europe. You're coming over to Europe on my birthday, May the 9th, with Desert
Yes, sir.
Fest at Oslo in Norway.
Hmm.
But then you come over to the UK on May the 15th at Nottingham, um, with Mist Rolling In, which is a fantastic name for a place. And Nottingham is not that far from me. It's about a 40-minute drive. So you'll probably get an email from me for a press pass for that one, and I'll come and see you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, dude.
and then you
That's
go up
gonna be
to
awesome.
Edinburgh, and then you're back in London on the Edinburgh 16th, London on the 17th for another Desert Fest, which you'll be at
Yes, sir.
the Underworld in London, I believe.
Hmm.
And then you're at Coventry, the Tin, and on the 20th, you're at Bristol, the Griffin. Now, I don't get this tour because for me, from being UK, Nottingham's in the middle, and you've got to go up to Edinburgh, then you're down to London, and you're back up to the middle again for Coventry, and then you're sort of across to Bristol. It's like,
You got to
Yeah.
Hey, we
keep
take what
folks
we
on
can
their
At a
get.
map
toes.
and don't you look at a map and like work from the bottom and go up, or work from the top and work down?
We're just trying to explore, it's going to be our first time over there. So we thought, why not take the long way, right?
Yeah.
I think it's
Just,
interesting when you're looking at how touring works. A lot of these shows get booked based on the venue's availability and
yeah,
what they're willing to pay for an artist package to bring them on through. So sometimes you get these like pretty crazy looking routing things, but usually it's us trying to prioritize like let's get there even if it's not the most ideal travel plan. If we're kind of in the region, if it's feasible, let's just make it
yeah,
happen.
Yeah.
yeah. I
And
don't know
sometimes
what's
that
going to be
results
the
in.
worst.
Mm.
Sorry,
No,
I've
you're
done it
good.
again, interrupting you terribly.
Oh, you're good, man. The thing
You're
is with me,
good.
I'll just keep going. So, I'll just
Yeah,
keep rambling. It's probably good you're jumping in. That probably
because
helps.
I don't know what the worst is though. Going from Nottingham to Edinburgh, I think because that's on the 15th to the 16th, but I think Edinburgh down to London, 16th, 17th. You're going to be tired.
But it might be
Yeah.
nice, we get to travel and see some of that part of the world that we don't normally get to. So I'm going to put the positive spin on it, and I'm going to say I think we'll have a good time.
Right. And
Yeah,
and also to add on to that, touring the US for so long, we've done these long, crazy drives. So it's just kind of something that we're used to. So it doesn't really bother us a whole lot if we have to
Yeah.
go like back up and back and forth.
yeah.
It's no problem.
Now I'm curious though. I'm looking on Google Maps to see. Oh yeah, Edinburgh to London, 7.5 hours. No
Easy.
problem. No problem
Yeah,
That's
there.
yeah,
easy for us.
fine. Yeah, yeah. You're not going to have much time for sightseeing because I mean the UK tour is literally 5 days, 15th to the 20th.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're not going to be able to see much, and it's a pity. I mean, where I live, which is like I say, 40 minutes from Nottingham, we've got a lovely castle and a crooked spire on our church, and a lovely
Oh,
medieval
man.
market town. And you're just going to drive straight by, going up the M1. You, if you look out your window on the right hand side, you'll see the castle.
Oh man.
Hey, that'll be cool enough for us. So we're
Yeah.
we're just happy to be there.
But on the end, you end your tour in Europe. You're at Freak Valley Festival in Germany, which is a country where I was born. And so I hope your tour goes extremely well. It sounds pretty cool, but very hectic.
Yeah, always tends to be hectic. We're prepping for the West Coast US one, like you were saying too, and you see some of those drives occasionally, and it's like, oh, we got to drive 10 hours and play a show. Great. But that's going through the middle of the United States. So
Yeah,
luckily,
Yeah.
nothing in Europe seems nearly as horrible as that can sometimes be. So,
Mm.
but I mean, both are going to be great tours. We're really excited. We're excited to get back to Europe, especially because last time we were over there was October 2023, right before Glass Future came out. So we've been itching to get back, and we're going to try to make it a yearly thing moving forward. So
yeah,
if we can kind of keep hitting it, we'll be able to get to every town and city that we can find out there.
yeah. Keep that momentum going. But this is, you say it's your first time in the UK then?
Yes, yeah, we
Yep.
we had a UK tour booked around the Masamune Muramasa split with Sergeant Thunderhoof.
Yeah,
That was April 2020 though, so that one got canceled, and then it
yeah,
was a nightmare trying to rebook anything, and we basically had to just get a different tour booker, and they put us in different parts, and the UK didn't even come up. So really, it's thanks to the Desert Fest folks. Getting us over to London is what helped facilitate the rest of the UK dates. So like
yeah.
always excited to play those fests. We did Desert Fest Belgium a few years ago. We did Desert Fest New York when they were doing the New York City one. So just very grateful to that whole crew for what they do for our scene and helping us get over there in the first place.
Yeah, because I looked at the lineup and it's just full of grassroots bands and smaller bands, and which I think is fantastic that you're getting a festival which is promoting all these dedicated. I mean, on the one that you're going to, don't think it's on the same day as you. You've got Frog Lord, and they're a band I'll be seeing in a month or two, and and it's a
Nice.
great platform for bands like yourself because
I
you're going to
think
get
where
people
we
who's
are
not heard of you.
Yeah, where we get so lucky is with the support from this scene. And when I say the scene, I mean kind of the blanket like stoner, doom, desert rock. A lot of these bands and a lot of these fans are hungry to find underground, up and coming bands. Like there's an excitement to finding someone new. And I don't know if that exists within all fan bases and genres, especially some of
Yeah,
the like more classic rock and classic metal scene. To find a fan base that is that adventurous and hungry for like new acts and is willing to take the time to try and discover something new and then to have the excitement to share that with their friends. And that translates over, and I feel like that's kind of the core that like Desert Fest was built on.
yeah.
So super grateful to that, program, the Desert Fest as a whole, for supporting us and supporting bands like us. I think that's why we get to do this ultimately.
Up in where I live, Sheffield, we have something every year called Cramlines, which is for bands that like grassroots and just a bit up from that. And but then we've got the arena area where you get the bigger bands playing. So it's a great festival to get other bands noticed, and I like things like that. I like things that encourage the talent to for us to find that talent, for us to go out and find new bands and get excited about them. And what I absolutely love about your band is that you're really album based, and a lot of bands now throw out a single, eventually an
Yeah.
EP, but it's all single driven because people don't want to sit and listen to albums. Where yours is more album driven, and you sit and listen to an album and hopefully be taken on a journey.
Mm. I have to imagine there's a bit of a cycle to that, and that may or may not be true, but I understand the merit of releasing a very like single focused, body of work. But
Yeah,
for us, I think when you start to focus on a record, it opens up so much more as far as what's possible with like creative approaches, flavor for the tracks. The context for a single song might completely change depending on where it's placed and the other songs that surround it. So for me, it feels like, maybe it's not the most like modern approach to writing and releasing music, but I do think it offers more canvas to work with. It gives us more room to explore and create something that feels like us, like Howling Giant kind of stuff.
yeah,
I also think it takes the pressure off of an individual piece. When you're only writing a single, it's like every song has to be a hit or like a radio, phenomenon. And when you
yeah.
write for a full record, you can say, okay, this song doesn't have to have the pressure of this. This song just has to have the like a flavor or something that it can contribute to the body of work as a whole.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, this is what I love about. I mean, Iron Maiden, Matter of Life and Death album, divided the Iron Maiden fans, and there's so many. Oh, it's awful, it's horrible. It's one of them. You've got to listen to the album from start to finish to appreciate it, and I think it's one of their
Right.
finest albums. I listen to that quite regular, when I've got the time to sit and just chill and listen to an album. And it's one of my favorite Iron Maiden albums, just for the journey it takes you on. And it doesn't matter what sort of genre, because I've got a dance music album, the KLF White Room, and that also takes you on a journey from start to finish. And for a dance album to do that, it's an incredible concept. And I think albums that do that is art.
mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's definitely where we stand, and I love to see more of that. And I think that's something that exists within this scene, maybe more than other scenes. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I think it's cool. It's just a different take.
yeah. So you've got this album, which is we've just released, Crucible of Ruin. And have you got anything else in the pipeline? Anything that you're working on?
A lot of tours right now since that just came out. We're always writing. You kind of got to stay on top of this sort of thing. We've got a bunch of ideas, but they're not songs yet, just a bunch of ideas. So
But
I
the
think we're gonna,
riffs are good.
that's
The
right.
riffs are strong.
So I think we're kind of next couple weeks we're preparing to take off for the West Coast tour, and then we only have a few weeks in between that and the European tour. So I think this summer we'll probably hunker down and try to get some of these turned into songs, and hopefully hopping in the studio sometime next year. Just pending the schedule and seeing what comes down the pipeline for tour opportunities and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and just with a conversation that we had just before, Tom, who was fashionably late, turned up. And we've got obviously the most obvious song is Cat Dog, Cat Dog. Yeah.
That's right. We could,
Of
yeah.
course, of course.
Forgot
Um,
about that one.
That's a song for sure.
that's the song. You're going to do a 20-minute, 25-minute number on that one. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
At the end of interviews, my partner, my beautiful lady Tracy, gives me a question to ask, and it's basically tell us something about you that we don't know. As soon as there's three of you there, if you want to, like Sebastian, tell us something about either Tom or Zach, or vice versa.
Oh, we're
Well,
telling about other people, about the other members of this band.
Yeah, or the two
um,
that's missing because there are two band members because we've got
uh,
Zach's wife on saxophone who's
yeah.
That's
uncredited,
right.
and
Yeah.
obviously we've got Adrian who's your guitar and synth player. So you can involve any of them too.
Let's
Nice.
put Adrian in
Um,
the line of fire first, right?
yeah, let's do
Let's
that.
give some what's Adrian all about? That way
What's
he wasn't
Adrian all
here.
about?
Yeah, we'll give it here because he wasn't here to defend himself.
Adrian, I don't think he'll boast about this, but he is a fantastic grill master.
Oh
And
yeah.
whenever we go to visit him at his house, it's never like maybe it's a simple meal, but it's prepared with such care and craftsmanship. Where I'm like, dude, my guy knows how to cook. My guy knows how to take care of a party when it comes to hosting.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I don't know if he hails that as like a big skill of his, but I see that and I'm like, dude, you're good at this, man.
Right. I mean,
Right.
his day job, he's an amazing carpenter, like Finnish carpentry. So that's a
Yeah.
cool thing. That's an obvious one, but the real skill comes to the grill, I would say, you know.
Well,
Yeah.
He's a grill
do a
master.
longer tour next year in the UK, and you can come round to our house, and Adrian can show
We'll
us
get
his
him
We'll
grilling
whipping
put him to
something
skills.
up.
work. We'll put him to
Yeah.
work. We just should tour with like a charcoal grill. We just set up outside the venue. Just get that thing working, you know?
Yeah.
That sounds like a
Um,
damn good plan.
Do you guys have
Yeah.
hot dogs out there?
Yes, yes, yeah.
We'll bring some American flavor
I
to
had
you.
I had a burger yesterday with pulled pork on it at a venue, so
Oh,
that was beautiful. But
There you
anyway,
go.
yeah.
There you go.
so I'll
so
say this about Zach. Um, we know that Zach is a incredible drummer, but you don't know that he is an amazing baker. And
Ah.
he will constantly make a bunch of sweet treats or be baking bread. And so every time we walk into rehearsal,
I do. I'm
the
looking
house
at my
usually smells
proofing
amazing.
box. Yeah, I'm looking at my proofing box right now because I got like a seeded wheat rye kind of going on. I'm gonna make a beef bourguignon later, and I was looking for
Oh,
a dense loaf to
Yeah.
pair with it. Yeah.
do
Whenever we
you
go
have
on
iced
tour,
buns in the US? And we
Yeah,
call them
yeah.
ice fingers, where it's like a sweet bread and icing on top.
Oh yes. Well, I'm an
Hmm.
avid Great British Bake Off watcher, of course, with my wife. So, I know they do the American version, but every time I'm just like,
not the same.
you know what, Dale, if I could live at your house for at least 30 days so I could get some residency to claim I'm a UK citizen so I could apply, that'd be awesome.
Nice, dude. You'd be a
We'll make
hit.
the kids sleep in a tent. It's fine.
Yeah.
Zach always makes like a loaf of bread or two for the first day of tour. Call it our Lembus bread. It's our traveling, nourishing Zach bread.
Elvish bread.
Usually
Yeah,
a heavily seeded,
Elvish-
very
Elvish
dense.
bread.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can you believe my lady Tracy? She won't even watch The Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
Oh, unbelievable.
oh,
You're going to
come
have to
on.
leave her, unfortunately. I
I
hate to
know.
break it to you.
Sorry. We didn't make the rules, man.
We just enforce them.
well,
Probably why we're not married yet.
in tandem with Seabass talking about me baking, Seabass has paired with me perfectly because he has a huge sweet tooth. So
Yes.
that's more of also a request for the tour. If you're hearing this and you come see us and you bring various baked goods, pastries, Seabass will just vacuum them right up, pretty much.
Yep.
Oh, excellent. We've got a pecan plat pastry, and it's absolutely delicious. So it's one of my
Oh,
favorite pastries. So I might have to bring you a pecan plat.
that
Yep.
sounds
I'm
awesome.
expecting that now.
That
You
sounds
have I
nice.
have that I have that on recording.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, all of you, for your time. I really appreciate it. Good luck with the album. Good luck with the tour. And I look forward to bumping into you at Nottingham at the wonderfully named Mist Riding Inn.
Excellent.
All right.
We'll see you there.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
you.
much. All right. See you later.
Cheers. Thank
See
you.
ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.